Excellency, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, His Excellency, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, Field Marshal Berhanu, General Tadesse, Minister Redwan, my brother as well, Getachew Reda, good evening. And members of the media, I would like, on behalf of the African Union and the high-level panel, to apologize and to commend you for the tremendous patience that you have shown. You've been here since 11 o'clock. We really appreciate the time that you have spent. Excellencies, without further ado, at this point, I'd like to invite the former President of the Republic of Nigeria and the AU high-level representative for the Horn of Africa, President Obasanjo, to deliver his remarks. President Obasanjo, sir.
My dear brother, President Uhuru, my dear brothers from Ethiopia, our partners and observer team, and members of the media, I want to join the director, Dr. Barr, in the Political Affairs, Peace and Security Department of the AU in thanking you and commending you in the media for the patience and the tolerance you have shown. We asked you to be here for 11 o'clock, and now it's past 6 o'clock. We thank you for your understanding. And of course, I also want to welcome my colleague. They are not your colleague. Marshal Jula and General Tadesse for the tremendous work they have done over the past 4 days. And I don't know whether you heard me when the General was unavoidably late. I pulled his leg and said, well, I hope you are not changing your mind. Over the past 4 days, is it 4, 5? 5 days, we have followed on what we had done in Pretoria, which is, for us, President Uhuru Kenyatta and myself, to act as facilitators for what the commanders in the field have to accept as their responsibility, following on what we have achieved or have been able to achieve through the from the political leadership and through them, and getting a peace or a peace agreement or cessation of hostilities agreement. And of course, with that agreement, one of the things that needed to be followed within 5 days in that agreement is the meeting of the senior commanders on both sides to work out the operationalization and the nitty-gritty, so to say, of how to achieve the objective of silencing the gun, making peace, bring about security for all, and of course, establishing stability, not only in Ethiopia as a whole, but in the Horn of Africa in general. And that is what we have been engaged in achieving in the last 5 days. It hasn't been easy, but I must commend the leaders on both sides for their good faith, for their consideration of the best for the good of all the people of Ethiopia, particularly the ordinary people of Ethiopia who have been deprived of peace, who have suffering from lack of humanitarian access, restoration of services, and who are dying every day. With what we have been able to achieve today, and the implementation of which will start immediately in terms of unhindered humanitarian access, in terms of protection of civilians, in terms of disarmament and the way it will go, and in terms of really working for peace, security, wholesomeness, inclusiveness, and the welfare and well-being of all the people of Ethiopia. And I will yield the floor to my brother, President Kenyatta, and then we will hear from the men of action themselves what action they are going to show to or to put in place to get us what we all are eagerly looking forward to: peace, security, stability, development, welfare, well-being, and progress of all the people of Ethiopia. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, President Obasanjo. And let me begin, because you have already toned me, and say that I think I'm glad you accepted your title of General now, so that in future I don't have to put it in private, I can say it in public. But let me also join all of you who have spoken before me in, first and foremost, thanking you for your patience. But I think it's patience well born. But more importantly, to thank Marshal Jula, General Thadese, and indeed all your teams for the efforts that you have put in the last 5 days. It's not been an easy path. These have been combatants in the field, but what has impressed me most is that despite being combatants, they have both, including their teams, shown a real sense of patriotism and duty to their people through the need to ensure that peace prevails in Ethiopia, that peace prevails in our region and that the guns truly go silent on the continent of Africa. It has not been easy, but their commitment, the forthrightness in which they have engaged each other, I believe is the beginning of a new and even brighter future for all the people of Ethiopia. It is sad that we have to witness what we have witnessed, but we're not here today to talk about the past, but to focus our attention on the future. And that is what these two gentlemen and their delegations have been doing. It is indeed my belief that the same spirit of collaboration that they have shown, the same spirit of love for their people that they have shown, the same spirit of understanding that peace does not come from one side but from all parties, is what shall continue to prevail. I am heartened by the fact that both parties recognize the need for the people of Ethiopia, wherever they come from, are in need of humanitarian assistance today, are in need of food, are in need of medicine, are in need of a resumption of services. And the responsibility to facilitate that lies largely with two gentlemen who are with us here today, and I am sure that they shall fulfill that duty. Mine is to thank all who have helped us as facilitators achieve this objective today, and for all of us to do that which we can to support the people of Ethiopia to make this agreement and settlement a reality, and for all of us to pull together to see how we can mobilize on this, especially to our international and development partners, for this process to succeed. They do need assistance. And what is quite clear is that they don't need to be told what to do, but need to be helped to do that which they, as the owners of Ethiopia, want to do. And that is my request to all of you, that whoever, in whichever capacity, join hands and support them in what they need to do. It will be truly appreciated. And let me conclude by saying that what has materialized for me over the last few weeks is that truly we as the people of Africa have our own solutions. All we need to do is to engage, to respect, and to honor one another, to love our motherland, to love our continent, and to realize that in whatever capacities we hold, our responsibility is to make this continent better for our children than we found it. There are no differences that are too large to be overcome. And we have seen that in the discussions that we have seen take place between these two gentlemen. And at the end of the day, as it said, you have the freedom to choose your friends, but God has given you your neighbor that you can't choose. You just must learn to live together. And learning to live together is learning to respect one another, is learning to talk to one another, is learning to understand that the beauty that we have is our diversity. and for us to learn how we can live with each other within our diversity. Our diversity is our beauty. It should not be a source of division. It should be a source of pride as we share and enjoy diversity instead of our diversity becoming that which breaks us apart. We should celebrate it, we should enjoy it, and we should build our continent together. So once again, on my own behalf, and indeed on behalf of all of us who have been involved in the facilitation team, I congratulate you, Marshal Jula. I congratulate you, General Tadesse, and your teams for the spirit and commitment you have shown over the last few days. And our hope and prayer and our commitment also is that we shall walk with you the remainder of the way until we see a lasting peace and the true prosperity that the people of Ethiopia deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, President Obasanjo, who you have authorized us to call General for the purposes of this occasion. I think your words of wisdom and your continued service to the continent is highly recognized, and we really commend you for your commitment. Excellencies, at this point, I have the pleasure of inviting Field Marshal Berhanu Juna, the Chief of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, to deliver his statement. Marshal Jula, please.
Your Excellency, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, African Union Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Your Excellency, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President of the Republic of Kenya, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, based on the agreement reached in Pretoria, South Africa, for lasting peace through permanent cessation of hostility, we military commanders of both sides have been engaged in the detailed discussion on the full implementation of the agreement, emphasizing on the military aspect. We have been engaged in a good spirit and understanding. Accordingly, we want to express our full commitment for bringing peace and stability to our people and country. Therefore, we will fully dedicate ourselves to implement the Pretoria Agreement and this declaration. To this end, we would like to affirm our full commitment to the people of Ethiopia, to this panel and world. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marshal Jula. At this point, it gives me pleasure to invite General Tadesse Woreda, the commander of the Tigray Armed Combatants. General Tadesse, please.
Thank you. His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, AU High-Level Panel Chair, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, former President of Kenya and member of the panel, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for your efforts to bring lasting peace to the people of Tigray and people of Ethiopia in general. We fought for the last 2 years to protect our people and defend our interests. We have suffered untold misery over the last 2 years and still continue to suffer. The commitment we are making today is with the hope that expectations that our people's suffering will come to an end and soon. This is a very daunting task in the light of the many spoilers from within or outside who are profiting from this war. It's our expectation that the other party honors its agreement not only to end the conflict but also to facilitate humanitarian access and resumption of service. I thank you.
Thank you very much, General Tadesse. Excellencies, with your permission, I request we give another round of applause to Marshal Jula and General Tadesse for the commitments that they've demonstrated. Thank you very much. This brings us now to the signing ceremony. So I'll call two officers from the department, well, one from IGAD, to step forward with two identical copies of the declaration for the signing by Marshal Jula, General Tadesse, and it will be witnessed by former President Obasanjo and former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Excellencies, with your permission and with the signing of the declaration, may I now invite Field Marshal Jula to the front and General Tadesse so that they can exchange the declaration that they've signed in front of the leaders. Thank you very much. Excellencies, with your permission, I will now proceed to read the press release of the senior commanders meeting between the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front agreed to facilitate unhindered humanitarian access. Nairobi, Kenya, 12 November 2022. The African Union Commission concludes the meeting of senior commanders following the signing of permanent cessation of hostilities agreement between the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front on the 2nd November 2022. The parties have agreed to facilitate unhindered humanitarian access to all in need of assistance in Tigray and neighboring regions, facilitate unhindered movement of humanitarian aid workers, provide security guarantees for humanitarian aid workers and organizations, as well as protection of civilians consistent with the provisions of the agreement. Furthermore, the parties agreed to the establishment of a joint committee to elaborate on the modalities for the implementation of a comprehensive disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration program. The African Union Commission applauds the parties on these significant confidence-building measures and encourages them to continue towards the full implementation of the cessation of hostilities agreement as part of overall efforts to end the conflict and restore peace, security, and stability in Ethiopia. The 4-day senior commanders meeting was facilitated by the AU High Representative for the Horn of Africa and former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, together with AU high-level panel members, former President of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and Her Excellency Madam Phumzile Mlambo, former Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa and member of the African Union Panel of the Wide. The African Union Commission expresses appreciation to the government and people of the Republic of Kenya for hosting this senior commanders meeting, a demonstration of the continent's commitment to the African Union's agenda of silencing guns in Africa. The African Union Commission further wishes to acknowledge the support of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, the United Nations, the United States of America, and the African Development Bank. End. Thank you. Excellencies, without further ado, this brings us to the end of the signing ceremony for this very important declaration. The two members, President Obasanjo and President Uhuru Kenyatta, will take questions from the media, and I think we'll limit those questions to no more than 3 for the purposes of this occasion. And the questions will be directed to the two panel members, President Obasanjo and President Kenyatta. Yes, I see my sister, and if you can identify yourself, and if you wish to direct the question to any of the panel members, you may wish to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Ansel from the BBC. I have 2 quick questions. First of all, can the humanitarian aid start moving tomorrow? And 2, are there going to be any consequences for perpetrators of killings in this place, the people who have suffered and still suffering this war? I haven't heard anything about consequences for perpetrators.
Thank you, Anne. President Obasanjo or President Kenyatta.
Thank you very much, my dear sister. And what I will do is really have a bit of division of labor. I will take your first question and leave my brother, President Uhuru, to deal with the second question. And I will say to your question about when humanitarian access will begin, in fact, it should have begun yesterday. And as you will have heard from the statement read to you, and indeed from the signed declaration by the two senior field commanders, there will be with immediate effect unhindered humanitarian access. As we sit down here and meet here and talk here, there are people in affected areas of Ethiopia, particularly in Tigray, in Afar, in Amhara, that are dying of lack of humanitarian access. Medicine, there are even those who have been injured in the war front who needed attention and medicine and medical attention who are denied because of lack of humanitarian access. And this cannot continue. So with immediate effect, the humanitarian access will resume. Over a period of about 5 months, we did very well before the outbreak of the latest violence. And we believe we can do as well as we have done in the past. And we have assurance that the humanitarian supplies are there. There are those that can go by immediately by air, but the bulk of it, and that is the way to go, the bulk of it will go by road. And we have also streamlined what should be done in terms of checking. There will be check at the bottom, at the point of because you're always pulling my legs. I thought you were pulling it again. There will be check at the port of embarkation, and then at the point of discharging of materials. There will be security as may be required by the humanitarian agencies and workers. And, of course, the declaration that my two brothers have signed and have exchanged contain all these provisions so that humanitarian access can begin with immediate effect.
Thank you, President. I think the only part two had to do with the issue of accountability. And I think I just want to go back to what President Obasanjo said. Our first and key priority was, number one, to silence the guns. Number two, to ensure immediate humanitarian access to the people of Tigray, to the people in the surrounding regions, but to all the people of Ethiopia, to end the suffering that has been occasioned as a result of this war. But, Madam, if you will recall, and you have taken a look at our document that we signed, the agreement that we signed in South Africa, we did, in that main agreement, go through the issue of transitional justice. But that is a process that can only follow once the guns have fallen silent and once we have dealt with the humanitarian crisis. Furthermore, even in this document, we have made a reference once again to the security of the civilian population, mainly women and children. And in this document also, it has been explicitly made out and laid out that there shall be severe sanction on anyone who will commit atrocities against civilians. So we are cognizant of that fact, but we must begin where we must begin. And the first point of call is silencing the guns and ensuring immediate access to humanitarian requirements for the people of Ethiopia. The rest shall follow through as part of the political process, as part of the healing process that must take place within Ethiopia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, the gentleman at the back there.
My name is Robert from SABC. Eritrea has been accused of being part of this war. Have they participated in these talks? Thank you.
Can we take there is a third question and then we conclude this segment? I see none, so Excellencies,
we are not here to talk about any particular country this way or that way. We are here to talk about the peace of Ethiopia and all the issues that concern the peace and security of Ethiopia have been addressed by the parties, and I think that's all I need to say about that. This is not about talking about this person or that person or this person. This is a question of silencing the guns, and all the issues appertaining to silencing the guns, access to humanitarian needs, rebuilding Ethiopia have all been taken into account, as well as safeguarding the sovereignty and integrity of the nation state of Ethiopia. So I think that's what I can say about that.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I think with your permission, may I request you, Mr. President, and others to really give a round of appreciation to the people of Ethiopia for the major step that they've taken this afternoon. Congratulations. And I would also like you to join me to thank our two elders, General Obasanjo and former President Uhuru Kenyatta, for the stellar work that they've done. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't want you to get away with wrong impression. Both President Uhuru Kenyatta and the director refer to me as general. Now, when I'm doing this type of job, I'm not general. It's only my political opponents that refer to me as general. And I know where President Uhuru Kenyatta, I will know on which side he is.
No, but he's my chief, you know, so I don't have a big problem with that one.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we'd also like to thank our partners, the government of the United States. We'd like to thank IGAD, the African Development Bank, and others. Thank you very much.